Hello and welcome to my first ever Photoshop tutorial. So in the past you may have seen on Instagram that I posted photos with a street with loads and loads of buses on it, and I sometimes got asked, really? How long did you have to wait to get that photo? That looks incredible. Well, spoiler alert, it was done on Photoshop. So for these kind of photos I just keep the camera in one place and then take lots and lots of photos and then combine them all afterwards just to pick out the bits of traffic that I want in my scene. And then it's slightly unrealistic to have so many buses in one shot, but I think it looks kind of cool and sets your photo apart a bit from the rest. So I thought I'd do a Photoshop tutorial and show you guys just how that's done. And I gave it some thought as to how I'd structure these tutorials, because there's a lot of other Photoshop tutorials out there on YouTube and I wanted mine to be a little bit different. So I thought, why not take you from beginning to end, take you on scene, talk you through my thoughts, and show you afterwards in Photoshop how I create the final photo. So you'll see the photo being created from start all the way to the end, and I think that could be interesting. So let's head on to location and check it out. So I'm currently on Regent Street, and this is the location for the shot I want to get. So we're going to be taking multiple photos and combining them into one in Photoshop, and obviously the first step to do that is to get on location and get the right shot. So let me talk you through what I had in mind, and then we'll see how we can get that through execution and into the final photo. So this is the composition I'm after, and I'm really loving these buses over here. So I'd love to have a bus on this side of the street and a bus on this side of the street. So of course I could be waiting around for a long time, waiting for a perfect moment that with no other tour buses and other normal cars just in my composition as well. So I could be waiting here for hours and it might not even happen at all. So how to get around that is to take one photo of a bus on this side, wait a bit, take another photo of a bus on that side, and then combine them later. So the key to combining photos is that you want every single photo that you're combining the exact identical parameters, and let me talk you through the shot and talk you through my setup especially to show you how you can accomplish it. So a tripod is absolutely key, because that way you've got the camera in one place and each photo you take will have the exact same composition. Another good thing to remember is with your lens you want to have it set to manual focus. This is actually a manual focus only lens, so I don't have that issue anyway. Yeah, focus on something, preferably not a car. I chose to focus on these buildings back here. Lock the focus in and then leave that set. Next, of course you want to be shooting in manual mode, and then get your exposure right for your first shot. Lock in your shutter speed, lock in your aperture, keep the ISO constant, and then start shooting. So you want to get one photo of a bus on this side, one photo of a bus on that side, and then you should have the ingredients you need to get the final photo. So I'm happy with all the shots I took, and really excited to move into Photoshop and Lightroom and show you step by step how to accomplish the final photo. Let's head back. Okay, so at the risk of stating the obvious here, the ingredients you need are at least 2 photos that are roughly the same composition. And then you'll also need a computer where you'll have installed Adobe Photoshop and Adobe Lightroom. So without further ado, let's head right in. Okay, so we are in Lightroom now, and as I mentioned on scene, it was quite windy, but I hope you heard it, is that it's important that the parameters of all 3 photos are exactly the same. So in Lightroom you can always see the settings up here, and they are the same for all of the 3 photos, and because they're on the tripod, the composition's roughly the same as well. Now it's not just the camera settings that need to be the same, but also the edit. So this photo is already fully edited in the interest of time. Here's the before, and here's the after. So I want to apply the exact same edit settings to the other 2 photos down here as well. Easiest way to do that is to right click, go in settings, copy settings, and that includes everything except for local adjustments, which I didn't make any of. But transform is also important because I fixed the buildings, made them all straight and stuff like that. Okay, so let's copy that, move into the next photo. This is the other half of the photo. So this is the part of interest, this bus that I want to add to the first photo. Right click again, click on settings, and paste them in, and voila, happy with my edit. I won't dive into the details of how I edited it because I don't want to focus on that in this tutorial, maybe in a future one. Okay, and then this is a third shot I took, which I might use to clean up the other two shots depending on if there's some small composition kinks I don't like, but we'll get to that later. So again, right click, settings, and paste settings. The next thing we want to do is to move all of this into Photoshop. So hold down Shift, select all your photos, again right click, and then there's an option up here called Edit In, and we're going to say Open as Layers in Photoshop. By the way, it helps if you've already got Photoshop open because it loads a lot faster and it's less prone to crashing that way as well. Okay, so we're in Photoshop now, and all three photos have loaded into layers, which you can see on this pane here on the right side. That means the photos are on top of each other, and we'll have to blend all three together. So here they are, but this is the bottom layer, which I chose because that's the base of the image. On top of that, I'll be adding the bus on the other side, which is this photo. And then lastly, I've also included this photo, just in case I want to clean up the composition a bit afterwards. So the first thing you want to do is select all of them, hold down Shift again, click all of them, and you want to go up here, click on Edit, and there should be an option called Auto Align Layers. Just click on Auto again, don't worry about this, because we've actually fixed these two things in Lightroom already. Okay, so what this does is, it makes the images perfectly aligned based on the buildings and the lines in the road, I guess. Why that's still important despite having used the tripod is because by clicking down the camera you can sometimes still get a bit of shake, so zooming in a bit. I mean, it's not noticeable, but I mean we're off by a few pixels, so just to make the picture really perfect, that's worthwhile doing anyway. Great. Next step is, for the top layers, what I want to do is add layer masks, just to conceal the entire picture, entire top layer for the time being, and then we'll add it back afterwards as need be. So what you want to do is click on this button down here, adds the layer mask, make sure the secondary color is black, and then a great shortcut is Command Delete. I don't know what it would be on Windows, maybe Control Delete, and it fills the entire layer mask with black. Black means conceal, and white means reveal. So now the top layer is entirely concealed, which is why you're seeing the second layer. Later we'll add some white bits and then reveal some of the bits we've just hidden. So I'll repeat the same exercise with the second picture. And now only the bottom layer is visible. Now what we want to do is from the second picture, add the buses to the right side. And the easiest way to do it, and to make it blend in well, is to use a gradient, which is this tool over here. Make sure you have the black and white gradient selected, which I do. And now remember, black was conceal and white is reveal. So the bit we want to conceal from the second photo is the left side of the picture, and the bit we want is the bus on the right side. So holding down Shift, you can add the gradient. Make sure it's just to the right of the bus so that it's fully visible and transparent. 100% transparent, I mean. Adding the gradient, if you hold down Shift, you can pull a straight line. And voila, here's the second photo. Now that's the job almost entirely done, but I want to show you a different way of bringing in bits through the second composition. So I'm not entirely happy with this white panel van over here, because if you looked at the first layer, this bus down here looked a lot more appealing than that white panel van. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to select the brush tool, make sure it's a very soft brush, because that helps you blend in the pictures a lot better, and then we'll change the size of the brush. So again, remember, white is conceal and white is reveal and black is conceal. So looking at the layer mask, that's what it looks like. Here's our blended bits. This panel van is very much in the white, and I want it to disappear. So I'm going to zoom in. And back here you can see the bus kind of in the gradient part, so it's kind of half transparent, and I don't like that. So I'm going to brush with a white brush this time. Sorry, a black brush. Click X to change the brushes. I'm going to conceal the truck, which you should probably do by selecting the layer mask. And the black brush, and there you go. So I'm brushing away that bit of the photo and hiding it again. So you've got a cab back here, and the bus is now fully clear and visible, which is great. Really like that. That makes for a much better composition, and our layer mask now looks like this. Just go over that again, just to kink out all the bits to make sure it's nice and smooth. Now, looking at our photo, it's clear that this bit obviously doesn't look great at all. So thankfully, I also photographed the third photo, which is this one. And now we can reveal a bit on the third photo, selecting the third layer mask. I'll make the brush a bit smaller. And the road behind here should be really clear. So if I brush on it, using a white brush, I'm just using the empty space from the third photo and making the car disappear. So that's literally all I needed the third photo for. And if you look at the layer mask, I've barely even used the third photo at all. So anyway, that's the final photo. And one last thing to remember is, like I mentioned in the beginning, because we aligned the images, we lost a few pixels on this side and also here at the bottom. So it just helps to crop the photo a bit so that the full frame is covered by pixels, which is fine because the edge is fairly clean and we're not losing any of the main composition, being the buses. So moving to the crop tool. 3:2 is the Canon standard format, and I'm sure it'll be the same for your camera as well. So selecting that, hit X to change the orientation, and then if you hold down Shift and Alt, you can move the picture like this, so it's from the center out. Yeah, so it almost already snaps onto the area that has, and hit Enter. And there we go. That's the final picture. If we now save, it takes a moment. The picture should be back in Lightroom. And there it is. The reason why I like to keep it back in Lightroom is because this is a great tool for your gallery, just to keep all your photos in one place, and it's a good way to have a library of all your photos. And that concludes the tutorial. So, I hope you enjoyed watching, and I hope that tutorial was educational for you and that you learned something. The great thing about this editing technique is that your Photoshop skills don't need to be very advanced. It's quite basic, and it uses some of the most basic functions of Photoshop. And layer masking and understanding that better, as well as soft brushes and gradients, are a really useful tip just to blend photos and keep your photos looking realistic and smooth. So, well, I challenge you to try the same. Get out there, get shooting, hop into Photoshop and create some photos of yourself, and then I'd love to see these too. Please tag me on Instagram if you ever end up uploading any of these photos. I'd love to see them. And also, if you have future suggestions about tutorials or photography in London or any other videos I should be making, please let me know in the comments below, and I hope to catch you in the next episode. Thanks for watching. Whoa. Hang on, there's one thing I forgot to say, because that's very customary on YouTube. If you enjoyed this video, be sure to like, comment and subscribe. See ya.